It's the AM show. Welcome back. We get into our big stories now. And like we announced earlier, today, Ghanaians go to the polls to elect their assembly and unit committee members. But what is the picture across the country? What can we expect in the different parts of our country, in the different districts? Well, joining me for a conversation, we have one of our correspondents in the Bono East region. I'm talking about Anas Sabit. He finds himself in the Techiman area. Anas, if you can hear me, what is the latest you can report from Techiman as far as the district level elections are concerned? Hello, Anas, can you hear me? All right, it appears we may have to try to reconnect with Anas Sabit. But like we know, today, we know that some 17 million eligible voters will go to the polls today. That is what the hope is. The Electoral Commission hoping that over 50% of that number will show up, or actually over 50% of the voting population will turn up to vote in the district level elections. It would be the highest that we've seen since 1988-89, around that period. And we also know that some 66,257 persons are contesting as far as the district assembly elections and the unit committee membership elections are concerned. Of all of these, we also know 6,215 candidates will be elected as assembly members, while 31,075 will pick slots as unit committee members. And we're also looking at a grand total of 6,215 electoral areas across 259 metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. So what is going to happen today? Voting starts. We go through the normal processes like you would do maybe in the national elections, voting your parliamentarians, voting for a presidential candidate. At close of day, then we can have the results. Per the Electoral Commission, it has said that it's going to be declaring the results at the polling stations or the centers live. It's going to be declaring them there. And we'll try to get the scoop from Techiman as we get Anas Sabit back on the line. But we'll also activate the phone lines so that we can find out from you whether you are going to vote, and if not, why, in the course of the conversation as well. So stay tuned for that. So joining us for this conversation, those who will be interacting with us, we're going to be hearing from Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Of course, he's a political scientist. He'll be sharing his thoughts with us, and we'll also be joined by an analyst of the district level, local governance. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante is with us already. He joins the conversation. Doc, good morning. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Good morning, my brother Ben. How are you, sir?
I am very well. I hope you are too.
Cool.
All right. Dr. Asah-Asante, of course, is a political scientist and the director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Since 2019, well, here we are again, 2023, with the district level elections. Before we even get into what the facts and figures are, what are your expectations ahead of today?
It is my hope and prayer that this election becomes a successful one, and that people will be able to go and exercise their franchise, devoid of any conflict or violence, so as to elect those society think they are true leaders. That is all election is about, that we pick those that we believe will serve the interests of the people. So I expect nothing but a good election, free and fair, and that those who will lose will take the results in their stride and congratulate those who have won, and then we move on.
Now, you would notice, and we've interacted with a number of people, young people especially, you ask some of them and they say yes, they'll vote. And you ask others and they say no, we will not vote. This means nothing to us. These assembly people, they add nothing to our lives that is palpable, that we can see. From where you sit, what would your response be? It's a civic duty to vote, but we all know that turnouts in the district level elections or the local governance elections are a far cry from what we see in the main elections, where we select a president and then members of parliament. What would you say to such people who say that, this adds nothing to me, I'm not going to vote?
Yes, because they are right in saying that. Election ultimately is to be able to produce results that will rob off every human being in the state. So if people spend their time, resources to go and cast their ballot and support for somebody, and at the end of the day, nothing comes out in terms of dividends, then obviously they don't want to repeat that dose. It is against this backdrop that people talk the way they do. But I will urge them that, yes, it is true there are these challenges, but let's continue to vote and then take away, in other words, vote out those who will not be able to serve our interests. More often than not, we tend to have leaders who will go and serve their own interests as opposed to the interests of society. If we should be able to identify those people, fish them out, and vote against them, and bring into office those who will serve our interests at all times. That aside, the state must also make it a conscious effort to be able to make local government elections very attractive. And what do I mean by that? The conversation of we making local government elections partisan should be brought back again for discussion, because that will, ginger people into supporting that system of government. At the moment, what we have now, you realize the attitude of Ghanaians suggests to us that people are not very much interested in it. And if you have a system where people shy away from, I'm afraid you can't continue to have that system. So there's a need to do self-introspection and then overhaul the system so as to get everybody on board. Democracy means what? The power of the people to elect those who they think will lead them and lead them well. So if the people shy away from that system of government, I'm afraid it's not democracy again, then it becomes something else. And what you and I know is that we are practicing a democratic system of government.
Which districts do you vote in, Doc, and are you going to be voting today?
I am going to Ekropong constituency, that's Ekropong North District Assembly. That is where I vote all the time. I will travel there and go and exercise my franchise.
So let's get into some of the facts and figures. We know that there are over 17 million eligible voters who will go to the polls to decide the fate of these 66,257 persons contesting to become Assembly and Unit Committee members. In terms of the voter turnout, are you as optimistic as the Electoral Commission, hoping for an over 50% voter turnout?
I can guarantee that. I can guarantee that, given the posturing of people, giving concern expressed by people. I don't want to say that if we are not lucky, we are not going to hit that threshold. But me, as a Democrat, it's my hope and prayer that in spite of all the challenges, people will go there in their group and then go and exercise their franchise. But that should not be enough. We should be able to make local government system or elections very attractive so that all the problems that are bothering that system of government, we should be able to nip them in the bud to make it more attractive, like the national elections, which we are always yearning to go there and exercise our franchise.
In terms then of the numbers involved, we do know that with these 16,000 plus or 6,000 plus electoral areas with their 259 DAs, it's quite a number to look at. But if I asked you about the real development that these at that level bring to bear on the back of what I've mentioned, some say they will vote on the back of this or that. Others say they will not vote on the back of the fact that they don't see the tangibles, the deliverables. So if I asked you, do you feel at that local level that these assembly people, these unit committee members are delivering the goods to the people? What would you say?
I cannot have a general statement on that because I'm not privy to a report that captures all of these things. But at least there are some, it is a fact that some of the districts we are seeing development going on. And that has been triggered by assembly people and the rest of them. And that is why people continue to be maintained in such positions at all times. It is also true that some of the assemblies or the local areas are not seeing the development that is expected for them. And that is why you've seen the apprehension and the rest of them. So it's a mix of, factors that have culminated into what we are seeing. But I think that the results are not the same throughout. There are places where there are good reports. There are places where there are abysmal performance. There are places where there is even non-existing, local government system in quotes that you don't see. The system exists, but you don't see the performance. So it looks as if that the system doesn't even exist there. That is where you see a lot of hue and cry and all that.
You say that you cannot make a general statement, but in your district assembly, you say you are going to vote. Do you feel your district assembly has delivered for you? I'm sure you've inquired. You may not be there all the time, but you've made inquiries about what the contributions are, which is why you want to vote. So how about your district assembly? Do you feel they've delivered?
Oh, I think Akropong, by and large, they have done creditably, and they continue to improve the lives of people. If you go to Akropong today and its environment, all the areas captured under the assembly, right. I can see with the fear of contradiction that I admire the type of performance that the assembly is putting up. But as a fan of Oliver, I want more for the people. But that is not to say they are not doing their best. For Akropong North, I think things are improving by the day, and I am very happy. Yeah.
So the polls have already opened per the time we were given in most areas. Hopefully that is the case. It will close at 5 p.m. in 38,315 polling stations across all of these MMDAs, except, as we know, in Nkoranza North and South districts in the Bono East region, because those districts had their elections in 2021 instead of 2019. So we know it's a 4-year rolling process, but for some, it tends to be, I think I've had some unit committee members tell me that theirs is about 2 years or something of the sort. But then again, I spotted, I don't know whether it's for this election, I think it may be for the election in 2024. There was something about live data from the Electoral Commission. But as far as they are concerned, the Electoral Commission, I mean, in terms of delivering credible elections on this, what would be the things that you'd be looking out for today in terms of timing? And I say that on the back of when people get to start voting. It says 7 o'clock. Sometimes people don't start at 7. Sometimes the materials are not ready. Sometimes it goes past 5 o'clock and then it delays. What are you hoping to see in that regard ahead of 2024? Because this will be a bit of a test for 2024.
I want to see election where the election management body, and here I'm talking about the Electoral Commission, is up and doing, which I have no doubt in my mind that they are putting their all. So materials must be supplied. The right officers are there to verify the whole process and then make sure that people vote and vote according to the rules of the game. Of course, I also expect the security people to be able to do their work as they've been doing over the years, and so that we ensure sanity at the place and that the environment is devoid of tension and the rest of them, so that we go there and cast our ballots, and then at the end of the day, we see who has emerged victorious and we support that person to deliver the public good.
Doc, hold for me for a bit. Let's go to Techiman in the Bono East region and interact with Anas Sabit. He's on the ground. Anas, are you in Techiman currently, and what can you report about the district level elections there? It appears we've lost. Okay, so we have Anas Sabit. Anas?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. Where exactly do you find yourself, and what can you share with us this morning?
I'm in the heart of Techiman, the Techiman South constituency, to be precise. I am in the Hausa Land electoral area, where we are expecting over 6,000, voters to show up this morning to cast their ballots. Voting started at exactly 7 a.m. We have people joining the queue, and so far so good. We have tight security here. I see everything in order. The machines, the verification machines are all in place, and as we speak now, there's sanity, there's order as far as this particular election is concerned here in the House Line area. I am trying to get some of the officers in charge to speak with, and then they will tell us their expectations, the number of persons they are expecting to cast their ballots here at the Baptist Primary Polling Center. Let me engage the officer in charge of this particular, election here at the Baptist Primary School. Let me speak with this gentleman. He is in charge of the area, right? You are the name?
I'm Franklin.
Franklin, kindly use this for me.
Hello, Anas, can you hear me? All right, it appears we've lost Anas Sabit, but we'll try to reconnect with him. He finds himself in Techiman, and of course, he was making mention of where exactly he was, and he was going to share with us some thoughts. Anas Sabit, back to you if you can hear me.
Then I'm here with the officer Frank. The team, he is in charge of this particular electoral area or the polling center. Yes, so he is in charge of the House Line electoral area. Frank, share with us how far, when did this start? Do you have some challenges? And paint a picture of the situation here for me in terms of security and the corporate.
First of all, it has been a successful. We started early 7 about. There have not been any challenges so far. And security-wise, you have our security around, and the people here to have become voting is going on, everything. And so far, so good. There is no challenge there because we are also praying that it will continue this way to the finish for the
This is one out of our 32 electoral areas in the Techiman South constituency. How many people are you expecting to cast their ballots today? And the turnout so far, are you impressed by the people showing up as expected?
Okay, so far, I think our line electoral area we have.
We're experiencing some challenges with connecting to Anas Sabit. We'll try one last time to see whether it actually works so that we can have that connectivity. But in your short, we actually have live visuals from Kumasi, somewhere in Kumasi, as people are expressing their thinking by way of the ballot. So this is the Ofori Chrome area, and those are the scenes ongoing from that voting enterprise in that area. Anas Sabit, I hear you're back. You can take it away from where you left off.
So then the officer is telling us, he's sharing with us the expected voters here within the House in the area. So, Mr. Frank, how many are you expecting? The turnout, are you impressed so far?
So far, I'm not impressed with the turnout as compared to the main election. I've seen since we started almost, I think my polling station is almost 5 or 6 people since the It's not encouraging. We are hoping that these voters at times they prefer coming late so that they will be here and listen to it. So we are hoping.
So that is the message from Mr. Frank, who is in charge of the Baptist Primary School 1 polling center. And in other areas, the situation is different. I can see a long queue at the other end, meaning there are a lot of people in this particular area. That ends from 7 a.m. to now, they've seen only 5 persons showing up to cast their ballot. The situation is entirely different here. As you could see, quite a longer queue here, and in other areas too, we are seeing people joining the queue to cast their ballots. Yeah, so again, here at the Baptist Primary School, turnout hasn't been too impressive. From one polling center where from 7 a.m. up to this minute, we are seeing only 5 persons turning out to vote. I am trying to get a different officer to share with us what the situation has been at this particular end. Let me speak with this officer. Even though he's engaged, he's trying to find some of the voters to help them vote. Can you please speak with us, share with us this particular polling center? Okay. So what?
Well, we're struggling with that connection to Anas Sabit in Kitchen South. We'll try to reconnect with him later. But for now, let's go to Oforikrom in the Ashanti region. Nana Boakye Yadom is standing by. Nana Boakye, if you can hear me, what is the state of Oforikrom currently as far as these elections are concerned?
Well, Benjamin, the voting hasn't started in the Oforikrom municipality. In fact, some voting centers that we visited, but here at the Oforikrom municipality, the Oforikrom police station here, where there are about 4 voting centers, the election has started. You can see that some people are going in to check their names and then later on cast their vote. In fact, the turnout is very, very poor at some areas that we have visited. There are about 1,000 voting areas in the Ashanti region with over 3,000 candidates who filed to contest for this district level election, i.e. assemblymen and unit committee members. So here we are currently at the Oforikrom police station, where there are four voting centers, 1 polling center A, 2, 3, and then 4 from my far end. But what we have learned aside of Oforikrom municipality is that in some areas, Atwima Mpunia, Atwima Nwabieja, and Dadieso, alongside Sontreso, voting materials have not arrived, so they are not participating in the election today. Some of them will be voting tomorrow. In fact, there is tension at Atwima Mpunia and Atwima Nwabieja. Later onwards, we'll bring you up to speed details as to what is going on at Atwima Mpunia and Atwima Nwabieja. But then my colleague Emmanuel Baitkweko has been monitoring the situation at South Sontreso, where we are learning that they would not be participating in the election today. They'll be voting tomorrow because their electoral materials are not in, and so for today's election, South Sontreso will be counted out. Ima, you monitored South Sontreso. What's the situation over there?
All right, so Nana, that is where I actually live, Sontreso. So this morning, whilst before coming to this place, I had an announcement ongoing that they will not be partaking in this particular exercise for today, and I asked some of the electorates over there why the reason why they are giving that, because this was a public announcement from the local information center, so they were moving about and then informing them that they will not be partaking in this electoral exercise. And they told me from what they understand is that some logistical challenges is what is impeding them or hindering them from partaking in today's exercise. So I tried to monitor, went to where the voting centers we have right here. When I went there, there was nothing of a sort like whether they've erected these ballot boxes or even ECU officials are there to conduct them. Nobody was actually there. And then I asked some of the electorates whether, because of the situation, would they be able to come tomorrow, because they have been given tomorrow. That's when they are going to partake in this particular exercise. And I asked them their civic duty or their civic responsibility, therefore they would partake in the exercise. But some of them are also, there's a mixed reaction to that. Once they are not voting today, they don't see the need why they should come back tomorrow and come and vote over there. So that's the situation here. But
looking at the fact that they are not partaking in the election today, did you see that, was the turnout okay? In fact, were people actually coming in to cast their vote, or it was as poor as we've monitored across the Oforikrom constituency?
So for the fact that they were informed earlier before the exercise started at 7 a.m., most of them did not go to the polling center. Just one person that I met over there, she didn't know that this has been the announcement out there. So she came around and then I engaged her and then she told me that, she would come around, as I earlier indicated, she'll come around tomorrow and then cast her ballots. But for today, once they've told them that they are not partaking in the exercise, they can only exercise restraints and then partake tomorrow. But the voter turnout, during the week I've been engaging with some of them, but they tell me, I don't know whether it's a general sentiment that most of them don't see the need why they should vote for some of the assembly members, especially for the fact that they are claiming that they don't really help them in terms of development in their communities. When they need something, actually, these assembly members are not forthcoming to address their needs. That's why they have not, they will not, for a reason, they will not be partaking in the exercise, that the district level elections for this year.
So Emmanuel Bright-Kweku giving us up to speed details as to what is going on at the South Sontreso electoral area, where we are learning that some voters in the area would not be partaking. In fact, there would not be anything as election today at South Sontreso. Earlier on, as I indicated, Atwuma Mponua and Atwuma Nwabieja, alongside that Yeso, would not be partaking in this electoral process today because their electoral materials are not in just as it is at South Sontreso. So at Oforikrom, you can see that the election started not long ago. Some people are here checking their names, and then later onwards they would be casting their ballot, and then at exactly 5 o'clock we would be done with the whole election for district assembly men and unit committee members. So I'm told that close to 1,000 people, over 1,000 people will be voting today at the Oforikrom municipality or Oforikrom constituency, where we have 4 voting centers. Over 1,000 people will be partaking in the electoral process today. There are 4 polling centers, as I indicated earlier. So we'll try and get the EC official here and then engage her and find out if people are actually coming in to cast their votes. Let me speak to her. Madam, the vote started not long ago. How is the turnout?
I wouldn't want to do on air, please, sorry.
All right, so she is not ready to talk to us, but then as you can see, some people are here going to check in their names, and then later onwards they will partake in the electoral process. But then let me get some of the voters. For how long have you been here?
I've been here for around 1 hour.
An hour now?
Yes.
Wow. At what exact time?
I came here around 7.
Around 7? The process had not started around 7?
No.
Okay, so what have you done so far? You've not voted, I know, but then what process have you passed through?
No, we've been here and checking everything that has been going on. So I think that's what we are doing here.
Okay. But have they engaged you?
Yes, we have engaged them.
And what have they told you?
They've told us the process that we have to go through and everything. So.
Okay, sure. Boss, have you also been to the EC table? Yes. And what have they told you?
Oh, they told us about the voting exercise and then the normalities that we have to follow. That's what they told us. So we are, as for me, that this is my polling station, so I have been voted. I have voted for my candidate.
Okay, but then before I leave you, over the period, some of the members, some people, candidates aspiring for the assemblymen and unit committee members, have they been engaging you? Have you met any of them today?
No, we have not met any.
But then have they come to you previously, prior to this election today?
No, we are here because of them, so we are agents here.
Okay, you're actually agents?
Yes, we are agents here.
Sure. So these are agents for some of the aspirants who are seeking to be assemblymen and unit committee members. So exactly the situation here at Oforikrom, some people are yet to come. So the EC officials are set. The process has started here. You can see that the electoral materials are all here. Security is something that is very, very much okay at the Oforikrom municipality. So let's try and get some other people to share their sentiments with us. You are the EC officer here. How's the turnout for you?
Oh, it's good.
But we are looking at how many people coming to vote today?
Today, about 393.
393. Oh, for this center. Okay, but then how many people have been here so far?
So far, I can say 10 people.
10 people have been here to cast their vote out of over 300.
Yeah.
And is that okay for you?
Yeah, it's good for me.
Okay, so yes, there are over 300 people who have to be here to cast their votes, but then just 10 people have been here so far to vote. Others would be joining in no time, just as the EC for this center stated. So you can see that a woman is here checking her name, and then later onwards she would be casting her vote. The turnout is not interesting because a lot of people are not really interested in this whole exercise. But then the EC officials are optimistic that at the end of this process, that is at exactly 5 o'clock, the turnout would improve, and then they would get a lot of people casting their vote. So yes, Benjamin, this is the situation here at the Oforikrom municipality, where we have 4 voting centers at the Oforikrom police station, and then later onwards at the Chumamponia, Chumamwabieja, South Suntreso, and that year. So we'll bring you up to speed details as to what is going on over there. We are told that South Suntreso, Chumamponia, and Chumamwabieja that year so will not participating in this district level election today because their electoral materials are not in. My colleague Emmanuel Bright Kweku brought us up to speed details as to what is going on at South Suntreso. We'll bring you details as to what is going on over these districts that I have made mention of. But this is the situation here at the Oforikrom electoral area.
Thank you, Nana Boakye Yadom, for that exhaustive report. Let's head now to the Upper West region, specifically in the area of Wa, where Rafiq Salam joins us. We're going to gauge the mood there as well. Rafiq, if you can hear me, where exactly are you located currently? And as far as these district level elections are concerned, has the process started? What is happening?
I am currently located in the Kambale electoral area. Hello?
Yes, Rafiq, we're listening to you.
I'm currently located in the Kambale electoral area where we have 9 polling centers here. This is one of 9 spots that Electoral Commission has told us about. And so 2 personalities are on the hunt for this position. Adams Mosaudi is the incumbent, and then he will be challenged by Sarah Fata in this election. So in the Wa municipality, we have 31 electoral areas, but election will be held in 28 of the 31 electoral areas. And also we have voting centers 203, and out of this 203, 187 are currently holding the elections. So I'm currently at the primary A and B 2 polling centers here, one of the largest in the Wa municipality, and that's where voting is currently taking place here. I'm told by the presiding officer that a total of 460 voters are expected in this polling station, and then also they are expecting a huge turnout because this is one of the largest electoral areas in the Wa municipality. And so, as I told you, out of these 90 persons that have filed to contest these elections in the Wa municipality, only 2 of them are women, and one of them happens to be contesting in this electoral area in the name of Sarah Fata. The other is in the Honta electoral area. I'm also told that the 2 personalities also came here earlier, and then they expected and they saw that everything was moving on peaceful. So now I wanted to talk to the presiding officer who's right here, and I wanted to talk to him. If you can hold brief for us to talk to him right here. And so now let's.
Yes, Rafiq, we'll hold on for you so you can actually have that interaction there. Elaborate with the officer so we know exactly what is happening. We also know that some of the numbers have not been too good. In Oforikrom, where we were with Nana Boakye Yadom, we noticed that at least per what the electoral officer had told us, they were expecting 393 people. Only 10 people had been out there to cast their vote. We hope the numbers improve in the course of the day. But we'll be finding out from you when you're ready, Rafiq Salam, what exactly the numbers are looking like in terms of those who are turning out to vote, even as you get this electoral officer. So while Rafiq Salam gets ready, you must know that polling was set to open at 7 a.m. in many parts of the country. And in some instances, that has not necessarily happened. When we went to Oforikrom, there were issues. It hadn't started at exactly 7 o'clock. Now it's past 8 o'clock, but the point to be made is whether people can all get to cast their ballot before the day ends. Rafiq Salam, back to you. Let's hear from the electoral officer that you have on hand.
Okay, currently I'm having the presiding officer right here in the presence of Sheikh Shaban. Sheikh, welcome to Joy News. Thank you very much. Okay, we are in this electoral area. Tell us more about this electoral area and where the voting is taking place.
This electoral area is Kambale electoral area, and where we are currently standing is Kambale.
Rafiq Salam, I beg of you, please move closer to the person you're interviewing so we can actually hear him. We're struggling to hear him. So maybe if you could get the microphone closer, we'd be grateful. And let him start again.
So we have the A and then the B. The A alone, we have 416 voters on the list that we are looking at them voting. Currently, we have about 27 to 30 people who have cast their votes.
This area is identified as one of the hotspots in the one municipality. Out of 9, this has been chosen. Do you see that here?
No. It's peaceful. So since we started receiving nomination forms and mounting platforms, it has been very peaceful, and we are hoping so to the end of the exercise. And here is also the collation, the electoral Kambale Electoral Area Center. So this is where collation will be done, and this is where the declaration will also be done.
So what about the process so far? Do you encounter any challenges?
Earlier on, the machine were, but currently everything is solved and resolved, and people are voting peacefully.
So you expect a high turnout here?
Yeah. Looking at how voters are trooping in, the turnout will be very high. That is what we are anticipating.
Okay. You just listened to Sheikh Shaban, who happens to be the electoral presiding officer right here in this polling station. 9 polling centers in this electoral area is considered as one of the hotspots in the Wa municipality. And now we at Joy News will be there to give you up to date what is really transparent in the Wa municipality. 90 people have filed so far to contest these elections, and only 2 are females. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam.
Interesting perspectives there. My only worry, what he just said at the tail end, only 2 females in that area contesting, and the numbers of females wanting to take slots or participate in elections generally in our country, including at the district level elections, is something that we all need to work at. But as we've mentioned today, all of us Ghanaians are going to the polls to elect assembly members and unit committee members for a term of 4 years. In some instances, it's a term of 2 years. Some areas couldn't vote in 2019. They voted in 2021. But polling was said to have started at 7 a.m. It didn't start at 7 a.m. in some places, and it's set to close, like we have in our elections, at 5 p.m. The question is, looking at the numbers that are trickling in some areas, whether those numbers will actually show up. That is what we are all hoping for. That's what the Electoral Commission is also hoping for. But will the numbers turn out? And will we get the over 50% as anticipated by the Electoral Commission? That is the question to look at. In some areas, in Kuranza North and South, in the Bono East region, the elections will not be held because they had their elections in 2021 instead of 2019. We've been told about the situation in South Sontreso, which will have its election tomorrow because electoral or election materials were not available. But if you look at the numbers, the electoral areas, 6,215 and 259 MMDAs. And if you look at the regional breakdown, you would see that the Ashanti region is in a comfortable lead in terms of the numbers, with 3,794 persons vying for membership of the Assembly in 1,087 electoral areas. Then you have the Eastern region with 2,685 aspirants, the Central region with 1,634. Then you have the Volta region with 1,398, and the Greater Accra region is fifth, completing that cycle of the top five with 1,346 people eyeing seats in 422 electoral areas. Two other regions have more than 1,000 aspirants for the Assembly slots. They are the Western and Northern regions, and then everything else follows from there. So the question is, are you going to vote? And if not, why? You can share with us on social media. We interacted with some of you, and some of you have been sharing your thoughts about voting and more. Well, this is how we cap off this leg of the conversation. We're still back with a lot more. Mind you, in the course of the show today, we're going to be telling you about how you can make those savories, not sweet, not sour, healthy stuff from soy or soya. And we'll also contemplate, well, this season, it's not always that you'll be in town. How about some sort of vacation or staycation, whichever way you want to call it? The Maha Beach Resort. We'll be talking about all of these still to come on the AM show. We'll be back. Welcome back on the AM show. We'll eventually move on, but we've got a crucial member that we actually are bringing on board for this discussion, what we're having a short while ago. We'll continue on that end with Fred Oduro-Ejiakor. He's a local government analyst. Mr. Ejiakor, a very good morning to you, sir.
Mr.
Ejiakor, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can. Good morning.
Great. Good to have you. I hope you're well.
I'm doing great.
That's fine. So the elections have started. So far, we've gathered that in some areas, the elections will not happen because of certain situations. If you look at Nkranza North and South, it is because instead of voting in 2019, they ended up voting in 2021. If you look at South Centresus today, it's because electoral materials have not got to them. Elections did not start on time in some places, and that is also creating some constraints. From what we've seen so far, the numbers in some of these places we've been to are not very encouraging. If you look at Oforikrom, where 393 people are expected, as of now, only 10 have cast their ballot. But generally, from where you sit, what is the picture you have seen, and what will be your sentiments on those?
Well, the point is that conducting the state-level elections is a lot more difficult compared to the national election of the election MPs and the president, because the candidates are varied and the number of the contestants are so many, because here are people contesting for the unit committee and the assembly member at the electoral area level. So each electoral area has got its own set of candidates for the assembly member position as well as that of the unit member role. So it is a logistics nightmare and extremely tedious. So some of these challenges are not absolutely unexpected, although we always seek to ensure that some of these things cannot happen. Again, when you cannot hold it on the day like that, I do not see it as fatal, because every effort should be made to hold the election as soon as possible. So I am not overly worried about some of these mishaps that we can expect. The issue of low turnout is something I have spoken extensively about. That I do not.
But you know why I'm bringing that up, because the Electoral Commission has been very optimistic. I listened to the likes of Dr. Sribokwe with that. Hopefully, they could get an over 50% of the population turnout to vote. You know about the recent registration exercise. So that is the angle I'm coming from. I know that historically it's been low, but could we repeat what we did in 1988 and 89, where we had over a 50% turnout? Do you think?
Well, they are the organizers, so they would want to whip up interest. But from where I sit, I don't see any significant interest in this election compared to any others which had, the exception of the very first one that you rightly mentioned. The situation that is militating against low turnout persists, and we've done absolutely nothing about that. I mean, even if you look at the fact that people go to register not necessarily to vote in the district level election, but it's an opportunity to register, and so they want to register. Primarily, a lot of people are more interested in the national level election compared to that of the district level election, because there's the vehicle for mobilization at the local level is very ineffective. And the EC itself, which is trying to whip up interest, is not capacitated to encourage people to go out to vote. The campaign, or if I can, dedication that has gone together with this exercise has come in so late in the day. In addition, there are fundamental challenges that persist that will continue to let people not be interested in this process. So I do not think that just that people have quite a good number turned up to register when the voter register was open. For me, does not portend any increase in turnout for this election.
So, I mean, the Electoral Commission has, to be fair, tried to whip up interest. The NCC has also, played its part. Yes, there was the voter registration exercise and all of that. You still don't feel all of these will amount to any major change in the voting pattern. That's what you're saying.
I'll be surprised we can get anything close to 40%.
You'd be surprised if we get anything close to 40%?
Yes.
What would be your projection? Maybe because historically, there have been 2 times when we've had less than 30%. So what then would be your projection?
I would still think we will be doing around 35%.
35%.
The highest I think we can get to will be 35%. I'm not saying we can never do 40%, but I don't ever think we can do anything around 40%.
Okay.
I am projecting about 35%, if not less.
Mr. Jaco, what do you think is the missing piece of this puzzle? Why do you think people are not getting involved? Yesterday, we shared some of our interactions with young people across the length and breadth of Ghana. Some said, they would vote because they had been personally impacted. Others said, this means nothing to me. I don't benefit in any way. I'm not going to vote. So what do you think is that missing piece of the puzzle that we can do to whip up public interest in the district level elections?
Well, there are a myriad of issues that we can talk about, but let me just mention a few. One, I think, is the lack of effective vehicle, especially a vehicle like a political party to whip up interest. 2 would be, for me, the low representation of women. Women form 50%, more than 50% of the population, but they have so little representation in our local governance system. 3 is to do with the fact that people do not see the impact that the assembly has got on them. Our local governance structure, for me, is not made to make it very accountable to people. So people feel that even if I go out to vote, it's not going to make any difference. So I'm not going to do this. So basically, we can even dwell on these three issues. There are more to it than these three. But for me, these three issues are very fundamental to why we are losing interest in district level elections.
And you mentioned something. I am very passionate about women's affairs. I just want to focus on that. You say there is too little representation of women, and I agree with you if you look at the numbers. But it also got me thinking, a lot of our population, over 50%, is women, okay? Which means if they don't find themselves represented, the willingness to go out there and vote will also be curtailed.
So you begin with a majority of the population being apathetic.
Right.
They think they would not be, they don't have a stake in the process. So automatically you have that women voters being apathetic. And of course, I believe I also alluded to other things. So it's also going to affect a lot more people in there. So naturally, if you start off with the women voters being apathetic, it tells you straight away that you have a challenge with the numbers that you can have turning up to vote in the election. So these are some of the critical things. I think we've not done well with our female representation. And maybe beyond this, we need to begin other discussions. The affirmative action bill, we need to look at it critically, not only at the local level, but also at the national level. We've not done well as a country. It's shameful on our part that to this age, countries that are doing very well are allowing a lot more participation for women. One example is Rwanda. It is not just one president who is making all the difference. It's also systems put in place, including women representation at all levels of governance. So we need to look at that if we really are serious about improving our governance system.
Beyond these, you also look at the work that these assemblies do. We've already had extensive conversations about whether it should be partisan. It is clear that it already is politically partisan. It is politically colored, politically tinted. But the work they do, does it suffice? Because that's the other angle of the problem, where people don't see the benefits of going to elect these people. The work they do, does it need any further streamlining, or do you feel it is in the right direction?
I think we need a local government system where I can elect.
But we already have a local government system.
You see, we need a system that I don't just have to elect the assembly member, but I must also elect the chief executive. So much power is put in the hands of the chief executive. Some of them can browbeat most of the assembly members into doing what they want to do. And we need to enhance the powers given to the assembly members to superintend over what goes on in the assembly. When I know that indeed my assembly member can influence decisions in the assembly, I am careful as to who is elected to that position. But if we elect assembly members and the assemblies don't even have the financial wherewithal to even undertake activities that they do, if I elect an assembly member who cannot come out with programs and policies to affect me, what is the point in going out to elect that assembly member in the first place? So we need to look at the construct of our assembly, local government system, and see to enhance the powers and the responsibilities we give to the key stakeholders, so that when I vote for an assembly member, I know that assembly member will go to the General Assembly, will scrutinize what goes on in the General Assembly, that people are going to be accountable to us through our representatives. But if we elect them and they hardly make any impact, why should I waste my time to go out there to vote for them?
Will you be voting today?
Hopefully.
Okay. Any final words you'd like to leave us with by way of expectations, by way of any other comments you have before you take leave of us?
No, the assembly system is extremely important to our development. We need to look at it, we need to work on it and ensure that it delivers the kind of development we need. So I believe that beyond this election, I'm praying that we can have platforms for improving the system. But if we leave it as it is now, we'll not get the right people. Let us go out there to vote for assembly members, particularly more women representatives. Let us go out there to vote for people of integrity, because we need a lot more people of integrity in our government system. Let us vote for people who are committed to development at the local level. If we can do that, at least we will make a little headway in this difficult fight.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ejako, for having joined the conversation with us this morning. Fred Oduro Ejako is a local government analyst. Now we can say for certain that we've capped off this end of the conversation. Like he said, just to reiterate, he doesn't expect anything above 35% in terms of the highest possible turnout. But before we go, let's also connect up with Martina Bugri in the northern region. Martina, good morning. Where exactly are you, and what can you tell us in terms of this district level election? Hello, Martina.
Hi.
Yes, I was asking, so from the northern region, where you find yourself?
I'm currently at the Zion Primary School, where...
Please go ahead, Martina. Please go ahead.
I'm at the Zion Primary School, where voting is underway. I must say that they have had some appreciable numbers coming in to vote compared to when you move further into town. For here, we have people coming, and that is largely because it's more a rural area. There's the full SNIT electoral area. We have more of the communities. They really know themselves, they know each other, and so they are able to convince people to come out and vote. I've spoken to someone who says that what they are doing now is to go into the homes to tell people that they need to come out and vote. And largely that is because the weather today in Tamale is pretty cold, dusty, and so when people are not, they don't really have a reason to want to come and vote, because they really don't see, when you speak to people, what the sense you get is that they really don't know the work the assembly members are doing, and so they are not too enthused or too interested in voting. But in this community, we have seen some numbers come in to vote.
So in terms of the numbers coming in to vote, can you give us an idea? I mean, we went to Oforikrom in the Ashanti region, only 10 had voted out of 393. What are the numbers coming through from where you are?
And so far, we have had more than 20 people come in to vote already, I'm told.
Right. And you say that some of the people are not so enthusiastic. And any final words, Martina Bugri, before you take leave of us?
I didn't get that.
So I was asking whether you had any final words, anything else to share with us before you take leave of us.
What we sense is that probably there will be some numbers, but not as they are projecting, because people are really not coming out as we speak. I mean, people are indoors. Just a few people have interest or have shown interest and are coming out to vote. And probably largely because the weather too is not too good today.
Martina, final bit. I just wanted to find out, can you speak to any of the electoral officers? Do you know how many people they are expecting at that polling station? Hello, Martina? Okay. All right. The connection is frozen. It's patchy. We'll try to maybe reconnect later, get those details, and bring them to you in bulletins that we'll share with you from 10 a.m. But that is how we cap off this conversation. And we'll continue from here. We'll take a break now and return.
Nationwide. That's witnessed